What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, Monday don't really have all too much, although the market's going to be digesting Trump's big beautiful bill, was rubber stamped, all said and done over this past weekend. Some people seem to be very optimistic, some people very bearish about it. BNP analyst, as I mentioned on my Friday video, seems to be rather optimistic associated to both Rivian and Lucid because of that $7,500 tax credit being extended up until the end of September, although some people seem to be debating whether that is correct or not. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Aside from that, another hot topic for this week will be tariffs. And so Trump does have the deadline of July the 9th. He's already mentioned that he can kind of push it forward or extend it and whatever else. We did see this early this morning from Bessent saying 100 smaller countries will get the same tariff rate, and many of them never really contacted the States. And I think that's to be expected. Big one is going to be Europe. So we kind of saw some tentative results between the States and Europe. And so I believe I saw something around 30% on certain European products, but still no actual concrete deal yet. So that one would be a potential good catalyst for this upcoming week. And in my opinion, just given the structure of both regions, I feel like that won't be done before the deadline. Most likely kind of extending it, unless Trump potentially says, hey, you know what, do or die on the 9th, and if not, then screw you. I feel like the market's going to take that as a really big negative. So once again, tariffs will be another hot topic. Aside from all of that though, you do have on Tuesday consumer credit change, and this is rather old data, so it will be as of May, but that will be signaling what consumers have really been doing, because a lot of people like to run their mouth saying, hey, tariffs are going to absolutely destroy consumers. This will be a good data point. So potentially as of in May, you would have had the Mexican and also Canadian tariffs fully in force. So again, we'll be able to see exactly how consumers are being impacted, and potentially if they're out there obtaining new credit or if they're just trying to pay off their current, that one will be a very big one to watch for. So that one's coming out Tuesday afternoon, so at 2 o'clock. Wednesday, you do have the FOMC minutes. Honestly, it used to be a big deal in beginning first half of 2024. Now it's not whatsoever, because the market already knows exactly what is going to be stated within these minutes for the most part. So in reality, it's not really going to impact the market as much as it once did. Thursday, initial jobless claims. A lot of Fed speakers, and then on Friday, not all that much. No real substantial data points or companies unveiling their earnings this upcoming week. So it is primarily going to be just those other kind of external things, such as tariffs, that's going to move the broader market. Specific to Lucid, there isn't anything planned for this upcoming week. They've already unveiled their Q2 numbers. And then aside from that, it's now just waiting for their actual earnings, which is slated for the 5th. So August the 5th after hours. Even looking on their website, looks like they are in Boston and also in Charlotte. And aside from that, nothing for this upcoming week. Still, no even fireside chats or anything like that is planned, of course. So hopefully they do put out something this week, and to kind of piggyback off of Thursday's fairly good momentum, right? So ultimately, Lucid did close flat over this last week, so 0.0%. So kind of interesting stuff for that. Nonetheless, though, I feel like because of what happened with Lucid, on a technical standpoint, it might actually be able to move a little bit higher. But at the same time, we are going into this upcoming week with all-time high short interest numbers. 33.33% of the free float is being shorted. So absolutely crazy stuff. That does work out to be 410.97 million shares overall are being shorted. Short score is 80.83. I just put out a video over, I think under Financial Journey, top 5 most heavily shorted EVs, and yours truly is number 1, as per usual. I don't know again why exactly that is always the case, but still Lucid's always been pretty much either number 1 or 2 for the most heavily shorted EVs. So do you think that's ever going to result in a squeeze? I know in January, what was it, 2023, when that whole kind of rumor came out about the PIF taking Lucid private, that caused a very substantial push higher and caused shorts to squeeze. Aside from that, there hasn't really been all that much. So do you think that Lucid's ever going to have a squeeze, and what would kind of be some catalyst to prompt that? Aside from that, looking at some of the options, so you do see a consensus from the bulls for it to be above 250 for this week, and then bears for it to be sub 2. So clearly we are on a kind of a pivotal point right now. Looking at the open interest though, from last week, you have 8,000 at that 2, and then 15,000 at that 250. 250 and above are all expiring worthless. Unfortunately, that 8,000, you're not going to see any crazy bump up. So again, it's going to just probably be covered through either extending of calls or just small purchases throughout the day. Looking forward into this upcoming week, you have 3,000 at that $2 strike price, 9,000 at that 250. So still, you're not going to have any crazy manipulation coming from shorts or market makers to try to suppress it below these strike prices. So again, something to keep in mind. The following week though, so the week ending July the 18th, that one is a monthly chain, and you can already see the craziness for that. So again, something to keep in mind. Aside from that and all the other fun jazz, with it at 216, it is exactly on this pivot point. Like I mentioned, Friday or Thursday, I guess, had a nice bump up. So it kind of bounced off this R1. So going forward, we do know that's a relatively strong resistance point. So 224, 229 is going to be the following resistance points. 216 is going to be a key pivot. 208 and then 203 is going to be the following support levels. So if you're looking at averaging down, just kind of take note of some of these support levels and whatever else. We did get 2 new analyst ratings because of Lucid's actual recent numbers, the Q2 numbers, which were okay. Both were $3. I'll give you a quick summary of that. I kind of brought this up in my video yesterday, but $3 Andre Shepard, Cantor Fitzgerald, Andre Shepard 49% success rating, $3 target as well with 𝗖𝗎𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, Stefan, who has a 42% success rating. Logically, I would assume maybe 1 or 2 more ratings is going to be coming out, but TD Cowen and also Bank of America are both relatively bearish. So if they were to come out with new ratings, I can't really anticipate them to be above $3. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. The rest of the ratings seem to be linked to only earnings. So they don't do re-ratings for Lucid's Q2 numbers that they put out. So most likely it'll just be post August the 5th. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from all of that fun stuff, there hasn't really been any any articles, no speculative topics, no partnership kind of rumors. So it's been relatively quiet. So we'll have to wait and see what Mark does have for us in store for the upcoming earnings, because as I kind of did a video on, he did allude to something big coming, so maybe some partnership or whatever else. Aside from that, 236 is going to be that key pivot as well for this upcoming week. That's that 50-day moving average, and historically that does result in like a 30% swing whenever Lucid is able to close above that for 2 consecutive days. So 236 is going to be a key one to watch for, as well as that 100-day moving average at 241, and then 259, that 200-day moving average. So fairly tight-knit resistance levels. So again, if Lucid does have something in their pocket and is able to put it out, then you could see a very nice push higher, easily above all these kind of resistance points. Maybe it might come from Lucid's upcoming earnings, again on the 5th, but aside from that, those are just some key levels to watch for. One thing to take note of though, if it does really move higher to, let's say, that 50 or even 100-day moving average, that would really put Lucid in the kind of overbought status based on the stochastic RSI. And ultimately, nothing really wrong with that. Stocks stay in overbought for sometimes an extended period of time, but that does mean that the first sign of weakness, whether it be specific to Lucid or the broader market, you could see a little bit of a pullback. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Are you relatively bullish for this week? Are you relatively bearish? In my opinion, I think just given the touchiness of tariffs, and this week will be a hot topic for tariffs. I feel like Lucid might be somewhat stagnant this week, so still trading between this pivot and this S1. Nonetheless, you will see a lot of volatility, most likely touching this R2, and as well possibly even touching this S2. So for those of you that are day traders or swing traders, it might be a good week for you. Aside from that though, I think even what I mentioned in my video yesterday, analysts do feel that Lucid is a long-term investment. So just a dollar cost average, do what you see is best. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.